Hey everyone, welcome to Games I Speak. I am Gio,
And I'm Josie.
and we took a little hiatus, but we're back. And today we're here to focus on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Um, that's a game that you and me both really enjoyed, and we just kind of wanted to, instead of me doing my usual review,
Yeah.
we're gonna break this down, part by part between us. So this is kind of like a retrospective on the fly review, I guess you could say it like that. So there will be spoilers. So if you don't want to know certain things about the game, just turn it off. Don't watch this video.
A full spoiler review.
Yeah, a full spoiler review. So um, let's start off with the concept of the game. Now, you recently played the original.
Yes.
Um, So, what were the major contrasts that you saw between the original and this new one, as far as the concept of the whole game?
Well, I mean, it's not the full game.
Yeah,
That's the biggest difference.
yeah,
Is that this is the solely Midgar portion of the game.
mm,
For people that are in the know, literally the prologue of the original game,
mm.
which is about 5 to 6 hours, and it's been extended here, been fleshed out a little bit more, both in terms of characters and in terms of world building, not so much in terms of story. It aligns pretty directly with the story of the Midgar portion of the first game.
Okay,
It does deviate in some locations, but we can talk about that later.
okay,
So you follow a ragtag group of eco-terrorists trying to take down a corporation, and things get deeper the further you go into the story. That's the core of the beginning part of that game, and I think they've nailed it successfully.
yeah, I fully agree with you. Now I have a question for you, um,
Hmm.
because I haven't played the original in such a long time.
Do
Uh,
it. It's available everywhere, and and just for the audience as well. There's a lot of quality of life improvements that you can kind of like blow through that game pretty quickly. There's a god mode in it, so you can go ahead and play with your limit breaks all set up and pretty much infinite life. And also there's a speed up mode where it plays at times three the speed of the game, so you don't have to like suffer through slow animations,
okay,
especially when it comes to summons.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and the save function is a lot easier on these newer systems, especially on PC, obviously.
yeah,
So there's a lot of quality of life improvements that would allow anyone to just get back into this game or play it. Granted, I don't know about the younger generation, how they would feel about the graphics, but there's a lot of like old school games that are coming out that are like old school themed games that are actually new.
yes,
So
yeah.
it's not like people are too what's it called? It's too alien to people nowadays.
Yeah, and there's still companies that make those like old school RPGs still.
Yeah,
Um
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's that one company? They make like the RPG maker quality.
Oh, Chemco.
Temco, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
there's no shortage of those games.
No, not at all. Especially on mobile.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Um
What was your question?
oh yeah, my question was the did they capture the struggle of the Avalanche, the eco terrorist group? Did they capture the struggle of it better in the new one than the older one, do you think? Or were they kind of similar?
So I would have to say that the this new version, the FF7 remake, captures the struggle better, mostly because it is enhanced by facial expressions,
Hmm.
by mocap acting, and voice acting definitely.
Yeah.
Like just for example, after the Sector 7 plate falling and Barrett showing all of his emotion in terms of being upset and conflicted as to like did us lead to this?
Yeah.
Are we doing the right thing?
Hmm.
Like we are doing the right thing, but at what cost?
Yes.
and you get a lot more of the emotions and the feeling from each character's position and whatever situation they're in, more so here because of all those factors I've just stated.
Okay.
What do you think?
You know,
I mean,
uh,
it's been a while since you played
yeah,
FF7,
yeah,
granted, but at the same time, you know the difference between reading a character's emotions and actually hearing them portrayed and acted, rather than seeing a sprite with minimal movement.
it
You
was,
know, like
yeah. And they used to
so.
use like the original would use, yeah, they had minimal movement,
Mhm.
and then they would use music to kind of
Emphasize everything.
emphasize the emotions and stuff like that. So, but they do that also in this one. So it's like you're right. You have a combination of like the amazing animation, the amazing voice acting. The
Hmm.
music is excellent in this one, and it's
Yes.
like all those together make it an emotional roller coaster. At least that's how I felt with the game.
Yes. No. Definitely.
Yeah. All right. So next up, let's go over the graphics.
Mm.
Now, for me personally, I thought the graphics were that it was everything I wanted. Now you had a problem with the graphics that I did not have. So do you want to explain that to everyone?
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised because after some research, this is actually a widespread problem.
Yeah.
It's the texture issue,
Yeah.
and I think that has to do with the fact that, and I'm pretty certain. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that they used the Unreal Engine
Hmm.
in order to do the graphics for this for the game. And Unreal Engine in general, I mean, I can recall as far back as Gears of War, had a texture pop an issue,
Okay.
and I see that a lot here. I see a lot of lost textures, like textures won't even pop in.
Hmm.
Especially a big meme is Cloud's apartment door, that it looks like a PlayStation door.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like not even regarding textures, but regarding the locations, a really good example, I believe, is was it Sector 4? Or was it Sector 5?
Sector 5.
It was Sector 5 when they're trying to break into the Sector 5, what's it called? Reactor?
Hmm.
No, I could have
It may
sworn
have
it's
been
Sector.
Sector
I
4,
think
yeah.
it's Sector 4. Yeah, I think it's Sector 4. The
Sector
Sector 4
5
reactor?
Sector 5 is where that's the slum where
Yes. That's
Aerith
where
is.
Aerith
Yeah,
lives.
yeah, okay.
So Sector 4, when you're trying to break into the Sector 4 reactor, huge problem is when you're up there and you're looking down on the world,
Hmm.
it looks awful. Like it definitely looks just like a still JPEG image, and it's not the highest res quality.
Okay.
It looks pretty rough. And when you are fighting Airbuster, a great example is when you're fighting Airbuster, you look up, the clouds don't move.
Yeah.
Like the world feels very stale and motionless when you're looking at it, in terms of like the long range vistas.
Okay.
Another example is when you are
All right, hold on. We're gonna call him back real quick. Technical difficulties. All right. Sorry. I don't know what happened. It just disconnected.
okay.
So all right. So you were talking about when you were fighting the airbuster.
Oh yes. So the Airbuster, when you look up, you see that the clouds don't move.
Yeah.
And like it just like the world feels so real until you see the cracks.
Yeah.
Like it feels lived in. And another example is when you're scaling that one tower to break into the Shinra Corporation building,
Yep.
and you look back on the Sector 7 wreckage, and all that wreckage, like aside from like some smoke that has been put into the background, it looks quite bad.
Okay.
In comparison to the rest of the game. And those are things that are basic to the game itself. Like everyone is going to witness the same setting. Like the texture problem, I could see how you didn't see that. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But in terms of like the low res backgrounds and the immovable like wallpaper type backgrounds,
Yeah.
everyone can see that.
Yeah. And one of the theories that I had was that I'm playing on a small screen,
Mm.
whereas you're playing on a.
How small?
It's like a. It's not big at all. I would say it's probably like I'm looking at it right now. It's like it's that little Asus gaming screen I use.
Mm.
So that's
So
like
like
what
30 inches?
28 to 32 inches.
Mm.
So I think that's why I didn't notice it as much. Is because I'm playing on this little screen. But as a developer, I would have to guess that when they were rendering those scenes, maybe they were short on time, so they just popped in those low quality backgrounds because they didn't have time to animate a bunch of different backgrounds. So I would assume they were cutting corners on that.
Okay.
Um, but they can definitely fix that. So that's the good news. And I
Yes.
would expect them to fix that, especially after we have a release of the whole game.
Yes.
They should definitely go back in and fix all those issues. So yeah. Um all right, next up, the audio of the game. Uh I loved the jukebox system in the game. I
Yes.
loved hunting around. Like I would, like when you're going around the slums and you hear like a beat, and you're
Yes.
like, oh, what is that? And then you see the little marker come up where it's like a unknown sound, and then
Yes.
you go buy it and you add it to your collection. I love that whole jukebox system in the game. I thought it was pretty cool.
The music in the game is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I thought the music was fantastic, and the voice acting. You're talking about sound in
yeah,
general,
yeah.
right?
Sound in general. Yeah,
Yeah. No, I thought it was fantastic.
yeah.
There were some times where I couldn't hear voices. Like the sound mixing was a little off sometimes. One prime example was when we're in the tunnels where the big robotic arms are.
Hmm.
There's sometimes Aerith would talk and I just couldn't hear what the hell she was saying. Um, love Aerith, by the way.
Yeah. I
But
think
but
she's the
but
new
but but
crush of all the young nerds coming up right now.
but aside from that, I literally had minimal issues with the sound. I thought it was phenomenal, and uh, the music was fantastic. Like literally all the recognizable themes were so well done and recomposed, if you will.
Yeah,
Um, and all the new stuff too. All the new stuff, like just talking about those tunnels again. Like I love the theme in those tunnels.
yeah,
It was so good.
yeah. It was.
Like I just wanted to stay there just to like freaking listen to the music.
Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, the soundtrack is sold out.
Oh, it
So
is.
I need to. Yeah, I tried to pre-order it, but it's like so even the pre-orders are sold out. So I need to find a way to get it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. It makes
I
perfect
want the
sense. It's
physical
sold out.
version. That's why I say that.
Yeah. Um. So, what was your favorite song in the game? Mine was the theme song from that little kid dressed up as a Moogle, the one that sold you. That was my favorite song. That theme song he had. I thought it was hilarious. What was your favorite song in the game?
My favorite song was actually the tango version of I forget what it's.
I know what you're talking about.
I beat it 2 weeks ago. It's in the old folks' home in Sector 5. That's how you get it. You get in the jukebox there.
Okay. Okay.
There's like a tango, and I was like, is it tango de chocobo? No, it's like
There was a
I
Chocobo
forget.
song. I know that.
Yeah, there's a hip hop to chocobo,
Yeah.
which was great. But honestly, the one song that like just like sent shivers down my spine, like I loved it so much, is literally the very first song that plays.
Okay.
The first song that like in that intro cinematic,
Yeah.
and when it's building up to the na 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 na, and I was just like, oh man, I love that part so
Yeah,
much.
dude. That song is amazing. I love that song. Um. So
Who's your favorite character in terms of the voice acting crew?
got to be Barrett. It has to be Barrett because he was so uh, whoever.
There were so many
Yeah, there
levels.
were so many
Like
levels. Like he had
him with Marlene, and then him with Cloud.
yeah,
Completely different people.
yeah. Um yeah, just like the scene after Sector 7 was leveled where he's like
Ooh,
he goes up to the wall and he's like hitting the wall and he's like it's amazing, man. Like
oh,
that guy
agreed.
deserves some kind of award. I don't know what awards they give voice actors for gaming, but he deserves
I
something, man.
I agree.
Yeah.
He put a lot of heart into it,
A lot.
and you could feel it.
Yeah.
And funny enough, there was a him. I hate that I'm forgetting his name, but him and the voice actress for Aerith, they actually were doing like a live stream before FF7 Remake came
Hmm.
out, and they were like playing the OG FF7,
Oh, nice.
and you could tell he was talking about like how he had played the original when it first came out on the PlayStation, and he's just like, this is a dream come true to be here, and I was just like, I felt that.
Oh,
It was
nice.
awesome.
So he was a fan.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. Yeah, that explains his passion that came through, you know.
exactly.
Um so next up we got the playability of the game. Which
Mm,
is usually when I cover playability it's like how well are the mechanics, how good are the controls, you know, and also like how well the system of progression is in the game. That's usually what I cover when I cover playability. And
okay.
so for me, it was a very good player experience for me. I I played on normal control setup. Um, I had no problems with it. Towards the end of the game, I started getting more precise with using my different stances and stuff like that, especially with Cloud,
Mm,
and using you know when you stun the enemy. Um,
yes.
you got like at first I was just like whatever, I'm just gonna kill it, and then later towards the game it was like okay, because it started getting progressively harder. I was like okay, the enemy's stunned, now I have to make the best use of this mechanic right now, you know what I mean? So I started gearing the players, the characters to like use the stun. Like Tifa, she had the highest stun in the game. Like when she started hitting people, you saw their stun meter just start exploding. And I started like building Barrett out as a tank, um, and then also the progression of the game. I like the progression. I like the story. I like traveling around the map and exploring new things. So yeah, for me, I thought the playability was really high. I thought it was well done. What about
Yes.
you?
I agree for the most part. The I think Square Enix found a way of making turn-based gameplay more, allow for more user input
Hmm.
and seem like an action game, and have that frenetic, like Twitch gameplay, but at the same time not be a complete action game.
Yeah.
If this was an action game, it wouldn't do well.
Yeah. No. 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 No.
But it is a turn-based action game,
Yes.
and I think for that I commend them, because that's where I see a lot of the love in this
Hmm.
game, in its combat, especially with the touches that they've put to Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett. Aerith, I feel like she was like the weakest link of all of them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she what's it called? Her ranged attack wasn't as fun to play
It was
as.
very slow. It was so
Exactly, but
slow.
it's also understandable because she is a magic user. Magic. I mean, even the faster playing characters. When you tried to launch something like Faraga, it takes time.
Yeah, and she's also not a soldier. I mean, she's a florist. You know what I mean? Like that's why I honestly I had to play her a lot because
Mm.
she was dying so much. So like I had to
Ah.
switch to her to keep her alive on many different occasions. And I was like, dude, she is so slow. Her movement is horrendous.
So in terms of game mechanics,
Yeah.
I think that I enjoyed how they married action and turn based together.
Yeah.
But and I see this as a comment as well. The fact that your characters don't have really good minds of their own, like all they do is kind of like the basic attack, and even then their ATB meters seem to be slowed down a little bit when you're not actively engaged with them.
Yes, but
That I found to be an issue.
I know why.
Uh,
I know why they did that.
I know why
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it works
It
well.
did, no, it doesn't work well, and you have to use wasn't there a materia that you had to put on them to make their ATB gauge go up higher when you weren't controlling them or something like that?
No, there was a certain types of materia which leads into a lot of people bringing up the gambit system from FF12,
Okay.
where you can go ahead and tell them, hey, if someone's like below a certain threshold in terms of their health, cure everyone.
Oh, auto
And
cure.
yeah, the auto cure.
Yeah, I had my auto cure on Tifa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. But that to me is a wasted
slot
spot. Yeah, exactly.
because
And by the end of it, I wasn't using it, and I was just which granted actually caters back or calls back to the original system where you could control everyone. So they really want you to control everyone, which I totally get. And by the end of it, I actually really enjoy it because I kind of played it like an action game in that I mapped out all the quick keys to have, like the focus shot for everyone because everyone had a certain focus shot,
mhm,
which mapped to the circle button.
yeah,
And then the X was like, the high stagger shots or, the high damage shots and stuff like that. So like I would quickly map the keys to be the same for each person, and then I would just switch between them and then know which one to use
okay,
at a given time.
okay,
So by the end of the game, as opposed to the beginning of the game, I just like played as Cloud. That's all. That's who I wanted to play with. He was a damage dealer. He was badass, and I mostly just played as him. But by the end of the game, I'm playing as everyone, and I'm freely switching between everyone, playing each role, and it's actually more engaging that way.
yeah,
But at the same time, I'd have to say that because it takes a little bit of time, because of the low ATB gauge gain on characters that are inactive, it did make it more difficult when you're dealing with high damaging and high speed enemies, especially when it comes to like the optional summons that you can fight at the end of the game.
yeah. No, I agree with you. For me, the main catalyst for me switching around was ATB gauge, right? If I
Mm-hmm.
saw one of
Yes.
my characters' ATB gauge was about to peak, I would definitely
Mm-hmm.
switch to them. Limit breaks, definitely switch to them. And if their health was getting too low, I would either heal them or I would switch to them and do a self heal, or I would switch to them and just kind of like go hide somewhere where I could, heal or recover.
Run around until
Yeah.
you can recover.
Now,
Which I mean, I'd have to argue that the dodge mechanic in this game isn't that good.
no, they
Like
got
I
hit.
wish that
They got
they needed
hit.
iframes.
Yeah.
There were barely any iframes if there were
I
any.
don't think there was any iframes because I would dodge. First of all, I made um, who was it? So Aerith and Barrett are horrible at dodging because they're the two slowest.
Yes.
Tifa is, you don't even have to dodge with Tifa. She's so fast. You can just run
She's like,
circles around the enemy. She's
oh my
ridiculous.
god.
And
Yes.
then Cloud actually did have a good dodge. Now,
Yes.
I
But,
put,
but but you wanted to use Cloud's counter instead of a dodge. His counter was so good.
so I put the dodge materia on Cloud and Tifa,
Okay.
deadly dodge,
Yes.
because I was using them to dodge, and then especially with Cloud, because of reach of his weapon, I would dodge around an enemy and then
Mm.
immediately do the spinning attack with the deadly dodge.
Okay.
And then the counter, once I got it, I was like, I'm not a counter type player, but
Fair
dude, it
enough.
was so powerful. Like,
It's
it
so
was,
good, especially his counter super move.
yes. So you there, I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's one boss fight.
You just said this is full spoilers.
Okay, well, when he fought uh Shinra's son,
Rufus.
yeah,
Rufus Shinra.
you
Yep.
have to
You
use the
needed it.
counter. You have
Mm-hmm.
to use the. If you don't use the counter, he's gonna whoop your ass. I mean, there's no way
Yes.
around it. And
Mm-hmm.
then Sephiroth, when he gets close up in your grill, you got to
Oh
use
my
the
god.
counter. You got to use the counter.
Yes.
So, okay, so yeah, I think we covered that pretty well. So okay, the next up is entertainment.
Mm.
Oh, actually, before entertainment, rank. Who was your strongest character and who was your weakest character
What do you mean?
in the in your party? Like,
Strong.
yeah, who was your strongest character and who was your weakest character?
I would say strongest is definitely Barrett because he's a tank.
Yes.
But in terms of like damage output, I would say Cloud
Okay.
because he was like a pretty damn good all rounder, and his supers were amazing. His limit breaks were amazing. Pardon. I'd say my weakest character, as much as I love her, Tifa.
Oh, wow.
The only reason is because Tifa takes a lot of. I mean, it's a lot of hits.
Yes.
It's a lot of hits, and yes, she can do the stagger and stuff like that. But Aerith is a nuke. She's a glass cannon.
She is a glass cannon. She is a glass cannon.
And the biggest thing that annoyed me about Aerith is literally that I would do what's it called? Not the arcane ward, which made her insane because she would just double cast like crazy, and not only that, but that double cast affected everyone. As long as you're in that ward, everyone can double cast, which is huge, especially when it comes to elemental weaknesses.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was a beast. But the thing is that as soon as I switched to another character, the AI for her
was so
character
stupid.
would be like, oh my gosh, like she'd be like, oh, I just launched this arcane ward, but I'm gonna run away from it.
Yeah, the AI.
Why?
Yeah. So okay, yeah, they need to work on the AI. The AI was really dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, my strongest was Barrett because I kept him with the minigun, and I maxed out his HP perks. So
Yes.
he was like an insane tank. I mean, I made him an insane, like he just soaked up damage.
Yeah.
And then I put like chakra on him so he could self heal, and it was ridiculous. And then my weakest was Aerith because for me it was just her movement. Now when I played her, she was strong because I could maneuver her around in a way, and I could nuke enemies. But
Yes.
when I left her alone, I mean, she was horrendous. Like, she was useless, more than useless.
The problem with Tifa that I find is that she can deal damage, not high damage, but she can pressure. And that was the key for Tifa. She can pressure and she could stagger.
Yes.
And then that would allow the damage dealers to come in and like really unload. The problem with Tifa is that she needs to be close up. And when it comes to these kinds of enemies, I played it. I beat it on hard mode. I've platinumed the game. When it comes to these harder enemies, kind of like an example, Bahamut.
Mm-hmm.
Bahamut has a move or what's it called? An ability where he like has like this area of effect around him.
Yes.
That is constantly damaging your health.
Yeah.
And it is incredibly frustrating. And I found Tifa to just consistently die so much.
Yeah.
when it comes to something like that. I mean, she's strong, but she's also not durable,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's an issue that I found with her. But I love playing with her. Her moveset is incredible. I think I told you this. I would play an entire game just with Tifa alone.
yeah, yeah. She's fun, man. Super fun.
Oh, it's so much fun. Yeah.
So next up, entertainment. Um, so that's where I just kind of cover the entertainment value of the game. What to me was super entertaining, and if anything, I found boring. Um, for me, my entertainment value was in the character dialogue and the character interactions.
Yes.
And then second to that was combat. And that's just me. I don't know if other people think or thought that way too, but like you said, the multifaceted nature of these characters was amazing. Like seeing Barrett with his daughter Marlene, seeing Barrett with Cloud, and then seeing Barrett with the Avalanche team members. It was a different person in all those different interactions. You know what I mean? And for me, it was just so rewarding, just seeing these characters um, communicate with each other as real people would communicate with each other. You know, real people do not treat every person the same. We have different dialogues with every person we know. And they just covered that masterfully, I think, in this game.
I'd have to agree completely. Barrett from the beginning of the game calling Cloud, just Merc, calling him Stamp, because Stamp is the Shinra propaganda mascot.
The dog, right? Yeah.
Yes. Uh, he's like a little beagle, and he just calls he's demeaning to him, and Cloud is he's off-putting, but he's also dismissive. He doesn't really care. He has his own goals in mind, and what they are we don't know,
Yeah.
but for what we do know, he says that he wants money, and he wants to save enough money to do whatever the hell he wants.
That yeah,
And so it's
yeah.
so that's his arc, if you will. Not much of an arc, but by the end of the game, to use Rufus Shinra as an example again, when he's about to fight Rufus Shinra, he's like, Barrett, take care of Aerith and Tifa, go down there, stay safe,
Yep.
and like save yourselves. I got this. And Barrett's like, nah, I want to be here. I can back you up. I can help you.
Yeah.
Like he wants to actually help him. And then he like the same kind of inflection, but you could feel the difference. Cloud is like, I'm asking you.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, please,
And
bro.
like I could,
Please,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
asking you. Please.
exactly. I'm asking you, and Barrett's like, I got it.
Yeah.
And like just that connection, like just the 30 or so hours leading up to that, it was just so rewarding to see that character growth and that camaraderie pay off, and them becoming something more than just people trying to work at to take down this corporation,
Yeah.
or just coworkers, from coworkers to
Yeah.
friends, and begrudging coworkers at that.
And yeah, and it takes me back to when Cloud climbs up the tower for when they're gonna drop the plate in Sector 7.
Mm.
He knows Barrett is up there, and he's like, I gotta go save him. I gotta go save him. And as I was getting closer to the top, I was worried about Barrett because
Yes.
you could hear him screaming and yelling and fighting, and I was like, damn, I need to go. And I had a sense of urgency to get to the top of that tower to help Barrett.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? And to me, that was like a sign that, wow, they sucked me in this hard. So they did a great job on that.
No, yeah, the characters are some of the best that I've seen in a while from Square Enix. And they had the original people that worked on the original Final Fantasy VII.
Hmm.
So these are their babies, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think they treated them very respectfully.
Okay. So next up, and I'm gonna let you take this part because you've beaten the game twice, you platinumed it. To you, how do you rate the replay value of this first part of the remake?
This first part of the remake. How do I rate the replay value?
Yeah, because we can't rate the replay value, so to speak, of the game because this is just a part of it. But do you see
Well,
yourself playing this again, or was the two playthroughs enough for you, or are you just content to wait to the next? Uh,
before I answer that, if anything, I think this is a good question for you.
okay.
If you haven't started a replay, why haven't you?
Well, for me, it's because I play a lot of games, and I have
I don't.
yeah, I know, right? You play a lot of games. I have a lot of games, and like, I'm not. You're a completionist gamer, which I respect because you like to get that platinum. You know what I mean? And me, I'm like like I live in the experience of playing it, and yeah, it bothers me that I miss some things, but for me, it's like certain games draw that out. For example, Dark Souls games draw that completionist part out of me. But this game was more like I just want to enjoy the story. I don't want to worry too much about uh, if I miss something. But I did explore very meticulously in this game. So
Hmm.
for me, after I beat it, I was content. I was content. Does it have replay value? Yes, it. So for me, it has replay value because of a couple things. One, it does unlock the hard mode, and two, it unlocks chapter selection. So for me, those are two replay value mechanics that they added in the game. So I do give them a positive for replay value, but for me personally, I don't need it because I'm just waiting for the next part. So what about you?
Okay. So I don't. I mean, I do complete a lot of games, but I complete a lot of the games that I like.
Okay.
I don't complete all games. Like I'm not a completionist in that regard. As soon as I buy a game, I'm like, I need to complete. I need to get the platinum. It's like not. It's not the case.
Okay.
I got a good platinum for God of War, for Bloodstained, but I didn't get a platinum for like Uncharted 4.
Okay. Yeah.
um, that being the case, this game I came back into it because the chapter select is definitely makes it easier. Um, and normal I felt was too easy.
Yeah.
I only died less than like 5 times in my first playthrough,
Okay.
and I was interested in the challenge, as well as like I didn't really grind, but I wanted to max out all my stats.
Okay.
And you're not even capable of doing that in a regular playthrough. You actually have to play on hard mode in order to unlock all your stats.
Okay.
And that's because they lock most of the manuscripts in hard mode, as well as gaining levels for your weapons in hard mode.
Okay.
So that being the case, I definitely wanted to play it. But in terms of actually playing it again, I enjoyed hard mode a lot. I think it was a fantastic way to play. And just for people that don't know, in hard mode, you gain back your HP when you sit at a bench, but you don't gain back your MP. And you don't gain back your MP, and you're unable to use items. So you can't rely on items in order to like elixirs or health potions or anything like that. You can't use that. You have to rely on whatever magic you have. Karma is a good materia to use in order to do self healing. Prayer is the multi heal materia that I would use
That's what
for
I kept
everything.
on Aerith. I kept prayer on
Yes.
her. Yeah.
No, prayer is incredibly essential in hard mode, and then you just have to be very cognizant of your MP,
Okay.
and of course enemies are more difficult. But in replaying it, I did find some issues in the gameplay. Do you want me to just go into that, or do you just want me to just rate it?
No, you can. Okay. So okay. I think we did.
Because upon replaying, I found issues, but upon the first game, first playthrough, I loved everything, and I just kind of like went with whatever
Okay.
came my way. There were certain issues, but you start to see a lot of cracks when you play it again,
Okay.
and so in that regard, I would say replayability. I'm going to give it a 5. Like
Okay.
you don't have to replay it if you don't want
Yeah.
to, and um, I actually wouldn't suggest it unless you want to witness the story again.
Okay. Okay. Perfectly fair.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so let's move on to the conclusion. And usually,
Actually, let me rewrite that.
okay,
I'm sorry, so instantly 7.
7. Okay.
And the reason being, hard mode's a lot of fun to play.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So me personally, when I do a lot of these reviews, I don't give scores, but it's not because I don't agree with scoring things. Obviously, we score things. That's what humans do. But
Mm,
it's more like I haven't. I want to build my own scoring system that makes sense to
that's
me.
fair.
Yeah, and I haven't done that yet. But I would give it 7 out of 10 as well because
Oh, I was only saying 7 out of 10 for the
yeah,
replayability.
me
I'm
too.
not scoring the
Yeah,
entire
no,
game.
no, no,
Okay,
no, yeah,
okay.
no, no. I give the game actually higher overall.
Yeah, no, agreed.
So let's move on to the conclusion. And usually during the conclusion, I just summarize my thoughts of everything. And so for me, um, so it's important for us to cover. So we covered this game. We covered this game heavy leading up to the game,
Yes.
and you and me were worried because it seemed like Metacritic had a hold on individual reviews,
Okay.
and you and me were worried because when they did that with Resident Evil 3 remake, it was bad
Mm,
because the official reviews came out were like 80, something like that, around 80 percentage, and then when people trashed it, and for good reason, I beat it. I put out a review for it. I rated that game as a sale buy. Like you
okay.
should get it if it's on sale. But for I am happily glad we were wrong with this game. And so for me, um, I rate this game. Um, it's got to be
Don't
if.
don't rate it. You said you don't like ratings. You don't want to rate it.
Well, I guess if we're throwing out scores here, let's. I mean, I'll stand by it. I give it like if I'm being like generous, it would
Mm,
be like a well, no, not generous. I'd say about like an 8.5.
okay.
And I say that because it's not the full game. If it was the full game, I would probably give it higher, but it's still not the full game. It's the first part of the game, but I loved it. It was a solid experience for me. Um, I didn't have many complaints. I am seriously looking forward to the next one, but damn, I hate the fact that I have to wait. And I don't even know how long I have to wait. I mean, is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? Have they said anything? I don't know. So for me, in conclusion, um, this game is a must play. It really is. It took me about 40 hours. So
Mm,
that's a solid game. That's a solid game to buy and play, in my opinion. And I told all my friends, um, I recommend buying and playing this game. So that's my conclusion on it. I recommend buying it and playing it. Now, if you're like a hardliner and you don't want to play, you don't want to pay for parts, you want to wait till the end. Um, I fully support that too. But damn it, you're missing out. You're missing out because this game was awesome. I loved it. So, what about you?
so I'm gonna say it right off the bat. I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree. One of the things that at least I was vocal
Yeah.
about coming into the game before we even got it, was bloat.
Yeah.
And there is bloat.
Yeah.
There is bloat. I would say one thing that we didn't talk about was the side quests. All the side quests are not good. and they are not necessary.
Yeah.
I would say that across the board,
Unless you're
especially since the first side quest that I was introduced to was picking up cats.
Yeah, the cat one was annoying because I couldn't. The cat kept running away, and then I couldn't find it. And
Yeah,
then I was like,
the save
yeah, yeah.
the saving grace for it is that there aren't many side quests. That's the saving grace
No,
there.
there's only two parts of the game where you do side quests.
And I will grant them that it does assist in some world building, but I don't think it was compelling world building.
Yeah,
That, and I would have to say that there is noticeable padding in general throughout the entire game. If I have to shimmy through one freaking like hallway or like slowly walk through anything in the sequel, I will lose my mind.
oh yeah, yeah. Those going and there was a lot of alleys that you went in,
Oh yeah.
and you couldn't access the container.
Yeah,
Now what
yeah, no, completely
I
agree.
was wondering.
Those were definitely hiding loading screens.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, what? Like there was groups of guys blocking the containers, and I was like,
Yes.
is this? Is it? Am I missing something? Like, how am I supposed to get to that? Like, am I supposed to
Yes.
like get an item and then all of a sudden I have this item and now these people talk to me? I don't know. I
Right?
was
Right?
confused. I was confused. Yeah.
And then there was a lot of revisiting places that frankly weren't even that interesting.
No.
We went to the sewers twice. um, the underground Shinra lab was fine. It was okay. But a lot of this, funny enough, made a compelling argument for people that like, why'd you hate FF13? Because there's so many linear. It's super linear. This entire game is super
It is
linear.
very linear.
Everything is a tunnel.
It is very linear, and I
Um,
I didn't delude myself into thinking that it wasn't going to be linear. And I think that might be why I wasn't upset about it, because I fully expected it to be extremely linear. I had
okay,
no thoughts that it was not going to be linear. Like,
but I mean, a lot of the arguments against FF13 could be labeled could be lobbed against this game.
yeah,
In that, it's super linear and it's not as interesting to go from point A to point B for everything.
no, no,
And
no.
and that was a huge argument against FF13 from a lot of review sites,
Mhm.
and a lot of those review sites are saying differently for this one,
Yeah, if you were,
or ignoring it.
yeah, if you were expecting Grand Theft Auto level exploration, you're just deluding
No,
yourself. Like, no. Now,
no,
I know
no,
they said
definitely.
that they were opening up parts of the city. No,
Yeah, exactly.
it it
But it
wasn't.
wasn't even that
It
open.
wasn't that
It
open.
wasn't that interactive.
And it
Um,
was mainly because, well, first of all, the story doesn't permit it. You're a freaking
exactly,
eco-terrorist and they're trying to kill you everywhere you go. So you can't really go
exactly.
anywhere, You're kind of stuck. Like, realistically, they wouldn't even be allowed to go in the slums. It's like they were running around the slums having a good time. No, no, man. If you're an eco-terrorist, they're coming after you. But
No, I completely agree. And then what's it called? Moving forward from that, uh, in terms of story, they did get the meat and potatoes of the Midgar section,
mm,
but they've also complicated things in such a way that is kind of I can't understand how they're going to be going on from here to the second game.
yeah.
And that gets into a lot of theory talk, which we don't have to get into
No,
here.
no.
But I did feel like they showed Sephiroth way too early,
Mhm.
and they made a bigger deal of Sephiroth to the point where they don't even explain him in this game,
No. There's
and
zero explanation.
it doesn't make sense.
No. The only thing that I got, which is what I already knew, is
Hmm.
that, you know, Sephiroth and Cloud and all the soldiers are linked
Yeah.
because of Geneva. I mean, that's really the only
Genova,
Genova. Sorry.
the Geneva
Yeah, the
Convention.
Geneva. Genova. They're all just linked.
Reunion.
And Genova is basically like a performance enhancing drug, as far as I'm concerned.
No, no.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay,
But
I was like, please don't say
no,
that.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, they're all
But
linked because of Genova, but that's it. They don't explain anything about
but
Sephiroth, and you don't even
I
know if
wanted.
he's there. I mean, that's the thing. You don't even know if that's him. You know?
Well, again, that's theory
Yeah, that's
territory.
theory territories.
But I front loaded all of the negatives,
Okay.
so I can go ahead lead into the
All right. Yeah,
positives.
yeah. Let me know
But
what because I was like, damn, what? I thought you liked this game. Okay, yeah. Tell us
well,
the
yeah, well,
positives. Tell us the
well,
positives.
yeah, because I wanted to end on a positive note.
Okay.
But positives, characters, the characters, they nailed them so incredibly well.
Yeah.
I Tifa, best girl. Cloud, best girl. Barrett, best boy. I mean, just the like, and in terms of world building, chapter 9 was incredible. Or chapter 8, chapter 9,
Yeah.
when they go to Wall Market. Wall Market was some of the most fun in the game that I've had.
Oh yeah. It was amazing.
And that was in terms of just traversing the world and being in that location.
Yeah.
Versus Sector 7, which felt kind of bland in comparison.
Yes.
Sector 5 was a little bit better.
Yeah.
But you had, I think, more quests in Sector 5.
Yes, there was more quests. And then you had like for me, Sector 5 felt more real of like what a slum would be, because you had the kids and you had the teacher.
But even as a slum, were you feeling like people were like living hard lives? Because I didn't get that feeling from it.
Well, I think it goes back to that like
These oppressed people.
Yeah, well, okay. You know, it's like an age-old wisdom that money doesn't bring you happiness. Community brings you happiness.
Okay. Now we're getting to philosophy.
Yeah,
let's move on with what I'm saying.
But I'm saying that's why they were so happy in the slums. You see
Everybody,
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Just saying. Anyways, so the world building in that regard was phenomenal. I found combat incredible.
Yeah.
The graphics, aside from those minor hitches, which I was talking about in terms of like backgrounds and texture, overall, it was incredible.
Yeah.
It looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
Cloud's face, Cloud's freckles.
Yeah, you can see
hair.
the freckles on his nose.
Exactly. Aerith and her dress, the way that moved when she's just, firing off like any kind of magic. Incredible. The particle effects, ridiculous.
Barrett, when he's shooting his cannon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Especially when it's overcharged.
When it's overcharged, yeah.
And then the sound, the music, amazing, just top level. And so, I mean, those are a lot of positives. And then the story, I'd say 95% of the story was on point and fantastic, and really helped flesh out certain things that we didn't see in the original.
Yeah.
Examples: Jessie, Biggs, and Wedge.
Yeah.
Jessie's side story was fantastic.
Yeah.
But to add a negative, like, we needed to fight through that G bike section, which the bike sections were kind of not great.
Yeah, it was weird.
Here's something I want to say. In hard mode, you can skip those bike sections. Why do you think they put that in there?
Because they
They did. I don't think they had a lot of faith in those bike sections. Just gonna say, if they put you can go ahead and skip those sections entirely. I don't know. I think someone knew how tedious they were.
Did you skip them?
In the hard mode? Yeah.
But you can't skip them in the regular mode, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
You can.
okay. Yeah. So
Because in hard mode you can. Because I played it once, and then when I found out that you could skip them, I was like, "F this noise."
They are tedious. They are tedious because of the way
they're not fun.
They're not fun because it's hard for you to catch up to certain enemies, and it's hard.
Yes.
Like
it felt slow.
It felt slow. Yeah.
Actually, here's a good example, and I know you've played this. Astral Chain. The very beginning of Astral Chain, that motorcycle segment is awesome.
Oh yeah. That's
the sense of
cool.
speed is phenomenal. Yep. And yes, maybe the background it was the same thing over and over again, but it didn't feel like it, and they littered enough debris throughout the world that it felt kind of like lived in, like there was something happening, like some kind of incident occurred.
Yeah.
And here, it's the same background moving back through over and over again, and then there's like debris in the middle, and that's about it.
Yeah.
It's not It's not even that interesting.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Wasn't that interesting? Wasn't that fun? But
So what? Okay,
that's another negative. Go ahead. Sorry.
so what? Let's make this real easy. Do
Go ahead.
you would you tell people this is a must play now, or do you think they could wait?
They could
Okay,
wait.
okay,
That's where I
okay.
disagree with you. It's that there's a lot of
Yeah,
bloat, which I think they will be cutting in a director's cut version of the game because they've done this multiple
yes.
times. They've had international versions of the game. They did it with Kingdom Hearts. There's like a bajillion versions of Kingdom
Hmm.
Hearts. And 1.5 Remix is the director's cut of that game. And there's too much bloat, and the story isn't complete.
Okay, okay.
Now, what is there is phenomenal and it's fun to
Yes.
play, and I enjoyed it. But at the same time, you can't shake that this game is part one of a game. And if they could shave off, here's my feeling about it. I feel like they could have shaved off 10, 15 hours of the game.
Yeah,
Average beat completion time is about 35 hours, 35 to 30
yeah.
hours.
I did 40 hours.
And yeah, and but out of that 40 hours, I would say you went through very similar dungeons, very linear
Hmm.
gameplay, and side
I
quests that weren't that
No,
compelling.
I did most of the side quests.
But the combat is so engaging, and the
Yeah,
characters and world building is so much fun that that elevates the entire rating of the
yeah,
game.
yeah,
And you can kind of, I'm not going to say dismiss completely, but you do dismiss it to a certain
yeah.
degree. And that's how I feel. Like I personally, after even playing on hard mode and noticing all these cracks in terms of graphical fidelity and level design, I still give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay,
I really enjoyed the game. I loved
okay,
it, but I can't shake the fact that the story isn't complete and that ending is kind of
okay.
rough.
All right. So all right. So yeah, we're pretty similar. I think people. I told my friends to play it because I enjoyed it, and I think they would enjoy it.
Mhm.
But like I said, I fully support the people who are gonna wait because it is part one. And
Yeah.
you're right. You can't overlook that. The game's not done. Um,
Yeah, exactly. And but here's the thing, and this is what I was getting at, because this is what we argued about before the game even came
mhm.
out. Is, do you think that they've made a compelling enough reason to even just release a part one? Have they justified this game?
Well,
And I say they didn't.
okay.
Especially when you yourself said at the beginning of this review that obviously they lost time, or they could have lost time. This is just
Yeah.
speculation, but they could have lost time in terms of putting in low quality backgrounds
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and the shimmying and all that stuff. That's obviously hardware technical limitations of some kind.
Yeah. It's
So I mean, go on. Sorry, I already said my
no,
question.
no, no. So no, you bring up a good point. So when you know, everyone knows this feeling when you come up with a good idea, right? And then you go to execute the idea, and you're like, "Crap, this is hard." And so you start adding in compensations like the
Hmm.
shimmying or the bad backgrounds because either A, you don't have the resources, B, you don't have the time, or C, you just don't know how to do it. This is what you came up with. This is your compromise. So yeah, you're right that there are compromises in this, which to me means like I'm looking at it more pragmatically. Like I think it's better that they broke it up instead of coming out with one final subpar game because I'm already, like you said, you brought up some concessions that they put, and nobody wants any concessions for this game. So for me, it's almost like if I was gonna be, um, it's almost like if I could pretend that this never came out and just wait till the final one came out and then just be like, "Oh, look, the game came out," and go out and play it, that would be awesome. But we can't, we can't pretend like that, and it sucks. But I do think that they just don't have the resources to do the full game. And I think a lot of that has to come down to the incredible detail they put into the characters and the storytelling.
Well, here's the thing about that is, and this is, remember the channel G4?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember they had
I
funny
forget.
commercials.
X Play with Adam Sessler and Morgan
Yeah.
Webb. And there was one thing that I think it was Morgan or Adam they brought up, and it's always stuck by me. Like that's something that I've always like kind of like latched onto, and it's like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. It's like you can have great gameplay with bad graphics, but you can't have great graphics with bad gameplay.
No, that's 100% true.
And
Minecraft.
all things being equal, if this game didn't have, if they didn't shoot for the stars with the graphics, and it wasn't like, let's say, just an example. This is an example, a theory. If they just did this cell shading, cell shading, and they were able to still have the emotive factor, because I mean, you can get emotions with cell shading. Prime example is Ni no Kuni and how that was done. And it still had the same gameplay, still had the same voice actors, still had the same story, but it didn't have those technical limitations. Then the argument would be moot.
Yeah, so yeah, I do agree with you there. But I guess their priorities were different, because if you're looking at
they want it to be Advent Children.
Yeah.
They want it to be better than Advent Children,
Yeah.
which they are. And graphically, it is better than Advent Children.
So I think
I rewatched that movie.
I think their priority was, this is gonna look amazing. You know what I mean? And they just stuck to that. And because they stuck to that, we couldn't get the full game. So yeah, no, you're right. The biggest thing with graphics is consistency. That's the number one thing. You can have low poly graphics, you can have subpar textures, but if everything is consistent,
if the art
direction
is on point,
the human eye
Astral Chain
finds it pleasing.
Yeah, Astral Chain is a prime example.
So okay, yeah, man, I think we covered everything pretty well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the next part of this game. I loved it, and I can't wait for the next part.
Same here.
So yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll try to put out some more content soon. So we'll see you all next time.
Thank you. Take care.